Alright, we're back with another DaVinci Resolve video, and this time I'm going to share 11 super useful editing tips and tricks that are seriously going to upgrade your workflow. Now, some of these are brand new since Resolve's latest update, so you do not want to miss out on these. Alright, let's dive in. Number 1, custom guides. Not so long ago, these viewer guides were introduced in Resolve. So if you click this drop-down arrow right here, you can choose between a bunch of different frame guides and safe area guides, which were super useful for reframing and things like that. But now they've added this section right here where it says ruler guides. Here you can activate rulers, and you can see these rulers appear in the viewer, kind of like you might know from Photoshop. And now we can actually drag guidelines from those rulers onto our viewer to create custom guides, which I think is super useful, and I've honestly been waiting for this for ages. So this makes it way easier to see if something is straight or at the same height as something else, whatever it might be. You can change the color of the guides by right-clicking and going to Guide Color, and to remove the guides, just right-click and select Remove Guide. If you want to make the guides invisible without actually removing them, just go back to the drop-down menu here and hit Guides to turn them on or off. Or just turn off the guides entirely by clicking here. Number 2, auto remove silences. I've got a long talking head clip on my timeline here, and you can see that there are some silences every now and then. If I wanted to cut these out manually, it would probably take ages, so here's a much better way. With the clip selected, I'll go to the clip menu, go to audio operations, and you'll see a new ripple delete silence option right here. When I click it, I can adjust the volume threshold slider and the other sliders, and it'll show me a red highlight on the timeline to see exactly what it's going to affect. There's also an option to automatically add a crossfade on every cut to make the audio flow a little bit better. If I now click remove, it will automatically cut out all these silences, plus it will add crossfades to all the cuts, and this has just saved me hours of editing out those sections. Number 3, Magic Mask version 2. So I already talked about this new version of Magic Mask and how it got even better, but I want to show you 2 great use cases how it can really help your editing. The first one is going to be in the color page. So let's say you've got this clip right here, and for whatever reason your client says, well, we need the 3 Adidas lines to match the color of the shoelaces. Maybe it's a new design and they can't reshoot this, or whatever it might be. Now this is something that would then typically be done by a VFX person, which would cost a lot of money and a lot of time, but now we can actually get this done with Magic Mask, and it's super easy. So I'll go to Magic Mask right here, and I'll make sure to have this one with the plus selected right here. And I'll also toggle on Mask Overlay. Then I'll click on one of the white lines, and you can see it straight away did a pretty good job. I'll click on the next one, and now you can see it's added a bit more of the shoe as well. So I'm going to remove that from my selection by holding Alt or Option, and you can see that now a minus sign appears, and then click on the part I want to remove from the selection. And just like that, the selection is good again. All right, now I'll select the last line, and here it also did a really good job. Now I can hit these 2 arrows right here, and that is going to track the mask forward and backward over the entire clip. Once it's done, let's just scrub through the footage, and you can see it did a really good job. Now let's toggle off the mask overlay and start adjusting the colors. I'm going to start by changing the hue. And then I'll increase the saturation just a little bit. Then I'm going to start playing with my colors in the global color wheel here until we get close to what we need. And you can tell it's still a little bit too bright, so I'm also going to change the exposure a bit with the color wheels here to get closer to where we need to be. Alright, so I think this looks pretty good for a quick edit. Let's just scrub through that again and play it back. And a before and after. Now you can also use Magic Mask for another cool effect in the Fusion page. So right here I've got a clip of me talking, and let's say I want a graphic to appear behind me. I'm going to duplicate the video clip and drag that up 2 tracks. With this one selected, I'll head over to the Fusion page, then I'll hit Shift plus Spacebar, and that will bring up the tools. I'll look for Magic Mask and then hit Add. You can see it just appeared right here. Now, just like in the color page, I'm going to start making my selection until I've got me selected without any of the background. When that's done, I'll hit the 2 arrows right here to track the clip. After it's done tracking, I'll head back over to the edit page. Now I'll place my graphic onto the video track between these 2 clips. And you can see that now that graphic is behind me and in front of the background. We can improve the effect a little bit more by adding a drop shadow to the upper clip. And maybe we can also add a cool animation for the graphic, like a push animation. And voila, we end up with something like this, and it's super easy. Number 4, hide layers in the color page. Now this one is super simple, but honestly, once I found out about it, it kind of blew me away. So let's say you've got a timeline like this with a bunch of adjustment clips for certain effects and maybe some B-roll and things like that. If you go into the color page to do your grading, you're going to see all of these clips next to each other, even the adjustment clips. Now to fix that, you can temporarily hide certain layers in the color page. Open the timeline view by clicking here. That will open this section right here, which is kind of like a mini view of your timeline. You can click each video track right here and that will completely disable the track. But you can also just hide the layer by holding Alt or Option and clicking the video track. Now the adjustments from those adjustment clips will still be visible, but the color page ignores that layer while you're doing your grading. Number 5, replace. Now this one is going to save you so much time. Check this out. So I've got this clip right here where I've color graded the clip. I've made some adjustments in the transform section right here. Plus I've also added this analog damage effect on the clip as well. Now let's say I want to replace this clip with another one, but I want to keep all of these effects and I definitely do not want to do all of this work again. Put your playhead at the beginning of the clip and make sure the video track of that clip is selected right here. Now if I go to the media pool, select the clip I want to use and click and drag this clip onto the preview window, it will show this pop-up menu. Here you can choose from a bunch of different options, but if I go over replace and then let go, it's going to replace that original clip with this new one and keep all of the attributes from the original. So you can see if I go over to the color page, it's kept the color grade. All the transformations are also still here and the film damage effect is on there as well. Alright, now because this video is all about working better and faster in DaVinci Resolve, I wanted to show you something that fits that idea perfectly. The sponsor of this video, Motion VFX, makes a bunch of really useful plugins, effects, and titles that help make your edits look way more professional without actually having to build everything yourself. You can find great looking animations like these ones, but they've also got this LUT pack with 30 different LUTs inspired by movies. Their website is full of incredibly handy tools for creators and filmmakers. This M-Music video pack, for example, made with YC imaging, has some great assets that would fit really well for music videos or commercial work. The MTuber pack is probably one of their most popular ones, with a bunch of effects, animations, and titles that are perfect if you create YouTube content. And all of these things are super straightforward to use. You just drag whatever you need on your timeline, tweak a few settings here and there, and you're pretty much set to go. I've been using Motion VFX for almost 5 years now, so long before they even started sponsoring this channel, and I still find new stuff in their catalog. I've used their assets in Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve, but they also work with Premiere and After Effects, so no matter what you're editing on, they've got you covered. And right now, Motion VFX is having their biggest sale of the year, so I highly recommend checking them out if you want to upgrade your editing. They have discounts up to 50% off, so make sure you have a look at their website and support the channel by using the link in the video description. Big thanks again to Motion VFX for sponsoring this video. Number 6, depth map. Now this new feature in DaVinci is seriously going to change your color grading, so check this out. We've got this shot right here, which I actually graded really quickly with one of those LUTs from Motion VFX I just showed you, and already it looks really good. Now I still want to work a little bit more on the sky in this shot and just enhance those highlights a little bit more. In the effects panel right here, I'm going to look for an effect called depth map. Then I'll drag that onto here, and that's going to create a new node with the depth map. And you'll see that anything that is white is going to be affected by whichever adjustments we do on this node. So if I turn off the preview mode right here and then just make a drastic adjustment just as an example, you can see that it's just affecting that area that was just shown white. Now in this case, I don't want the foreground to be selected, so I'm going to click invert right here, and that's going to flip my selection around. Under resulting map adjustments, I can change the far limit and the near limit to get to a point where mostly the sky or the background is selected, but none of the foreground. So kind of something like this, and you always want it to bleed out a little bit to get a good looking result. Next, I'll go to Map Finesse, and I'm just going to increase the blur a little bit. That's also going to help with making it look natural and not too harsh. And now let's switch off Depth Map Preview and start making our adjustments. So in the global color wheel, I'm going to start by adding some red and removing some green and blue. Then in the gain, I'm going to push that towards the warmer yellow-orange tones. And now if we look at a before and after, you can see how it's only affecting the background area, making that sunset glow a lot more intense, but leaving the blue tones in the foreground intact. Number 7, Cinematic Haze. This is another new feature in DaVinci, and you'll find it on the color page in the effects panel. Once you drag it onto a node, you can straight away see how it adds a haze effect to the image. The cinematic haze effect also makes use of that depth map like we saw before. You can enable the preview right here and then make your adjustments to find the look you're going for. You can also use the advanced depth controls to fine-tune the output. And there are also a bunch of different settings you can play around with to get the kind of haze that you want. And down here you can even add light rays, which can look really cool and add a lot of extra depth to your shots. And what's actually really crazy is that you can also make this haze move, as if it was really there in the room. If you enable disturbance right here, and then play around with the settings a little bit, it can actually look pretty cool. At the bottom here, there's also a global blend slider, so you can reduce the overall effect a little bit if you need to. Now, it's definitely not perfect yet, and in some cases it works better than in others, but it's just insanely cool, and for some shots it can really elevate your footage if you weren't able to use any haze on the actual shoot. Number 8, Speed Warp AI. This one is another save it in post feature that is super powerful and can seriously help you out. Typically, if you want to slow down footage to, let's say, 50% of its original speed, the clip would need to be filmed at least double the frame rate. So if you're working with 25 frames per second, you'll want to shoot at 50 frames per second at 1/100 shutter speed. Otherwise, it will only be able to show 1 frame for every 2 frames in the timeline, and you'll end up with this choppy footage that doesn't look very good. Now, thanks to DaVinci Resolve Speed Warp AI, you can easily fix this and make it look great. So once you've slowed down your clip, just scroll down here to where it says retime and scaling, and then set the retime process to optical flow, and the motion estimation to either AI speed warp faster or better. The better option will take a bit longer to render, but usually has better results, although I've had better results with the faster option as well, so it's best to just play around a little bit. And now you can see that the clip plays back super smoothly in slow motion. Number 9, Playback Resolution. Alright, so now after you've been adding all these effects and color grades and adjustment layers, you might start to notice that your playback starts to feel a bit choppy. A quick way to fix that without having to generate proxies or doing pre-renders is by adjusting the playback resolution. You can do that under Playback, Timeline Playback Resolution, and select either half or quarter. This will lower the resolution in your viewer, so you're able to get much smoother playback and still see your project with all the effects and color grading. Number 10, Dynamic Project Switching. Sometimes when you're working on different projects, you might need to copy things from one project to another. This could be a few clips here and there, an entire timeline, or just a few assets. Normally, you would need to close one project, open the other one, wait for that to load, then copy whatever you need, close the project, open the other project again, wait for that one to load, and it just takes forever. But if you go into your project manager, right-click on a project and enable Dynamic Project Switching, you can now keep multiple projects open at the same time. And then you can switch between these projects instantly without them having to load each and every time. Number 11, Export Presets. Another huge time saver is making use of export presets. In the Delivery tab, you can actually create your own presets for different export purposes. So I, for example, have one for YouTube videos, one for YouTube Shorts, and one for quick test exports. And here's how to make them. Make sure you have all of your export settings the way you need them for a specific purpose. So right now I have this set up for YouTube Shorts, so vertical HD resolution, 25 frames per second, MP4 H.265. My audio is set up, and I also have subtitles set to export and burn into video. Now I'll click the 3 dots right here and select Save as New Preset. I can name the preset to something like Shorts, and then choose an icon right here. Now, whenever I'm exporting a new video, I can just load these settings instantly and not have to set up everything every single time. And there's even a faster way of exporting. If you click these 3 dots here again, then add your preset to Quick Exports, you can even export your video with this preset directly from the edit page. Alright, those are another 11 tips that I really hope will help you edit faster and better in DaVinci Resolve. And if you haven't already, check out this playlist right here for even more DaVinci tutorials. And as always, feel free to leave your own favorite tips or tricks in DaVinci down in the comments, because I always love to hear what techniques you guys use. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!